Hi, folks. This is Mark by Mark A. Foster, Ph.D. for the Institute for Dialectical Metarealism. It's been a while since I've done one of these in a serious way. Um, Let me explain to you why. And I think this might be a good caution for everyone. Watch your meds. Watch your meds. That's what happened to me. Um, I was taking metoprolol, which, if you know what metoprolol is, it's a heart high blood pressure medication. I don't have high blood pressure. I have high cholesterol, but not high blood pressure. So I was taking it off label by my psychiatrist for anxiety. What that can do, however, is it can lead to a problem with your muscles where you fall. And so I was falling. And so he cut back by half rather than two per day, one per day. And he said, uh, Doug said, call him Doug, um, Mark, if you want to cut back to nothing, that's okay too. And eventually I did with no noticeable effect whatsoever. No noticeable effect whatsoever. So that's a good thing, I guess. But then I had another big fall. And this time I fell on my chin. I couldn't catch myself in time because my muscle coordination was not very good, and I'll tell you why that was in a moment. And so I fell hard on my chin like a hammer. Um, you can't see this probably, but there's an indentation over here that may be with me for the rest of my life. I don't know. There was a bump over here, which is almost entirely gone. My entire face was looked like it was white and black. Not not black and blue, white and black. Mostly black, pitch black. My right eye, retina, iris, cornea, white of the eye, all entirely black. You could not distinguish one part of the eye from the other. My left eye was pretty close, but not quite as bad as my right eye. And I had sores all over my body. I had on my forearms over here on both arms, I had like this patchwork quilt sore. Don't know why I had that. But what was explained to me, this is when they thought I had a heart attack, which I did not because I had an EKG, is that if you have a heart attack, the blood has to go somewhere. And so it will go to your face, it will go to your chest, it will go to your eyes. I don't know if that's true with a concussion, so I'm only guessing, but that seems to be the most logical explanation for why I looked the way I did. I would walk outside, I would go into restaurants, and people would stare at me. I looked like the creature from the Blue Lagoon. Well, I've never seen the creature from the Blue Lagoon or Loch Ness Monster for that matter. I'm just guessing. I looked monstrous. I was frightening looking. And so I got into this thing where I would apologize to people. I said, sorry, concussion. And then they would usually laugh and whatever. But I was trying to be as comforting as I could, realizing that I was a distraction in a restaurant, possibly even disgusting. I don't know. I didn't want to be disgusting. And I said that to some people. Oh, no, you won't be disgusting. I wasn't too sure. I think I might have been disgusting. I looked really bad. So now what happened? I was in this one medical center here. I won't give the name of it. It's the same medical center where I was sexually assaulted by a male nurse. So if you go back and watch that video, I may have mentioned the name of the hospital medical center in there. I don't remember. but same place. Um, this was on the second floor because I was actually admitted. I was in room 231 at a private room because my insurance pays for that, fortunately. Good insurance. Um, the people there were monstrous. Now, I know that's often true all over the country, all over the world, but especially in the United States, that hospitals often don't treat patients that well. I don't know if my treatment was any better or worse than other people because I have nothing to compare it to, at least with me, but it was bad. When I wanted to leave, I told the cardiologist, and the cardiologist said, if I give you two more of your meds, will you stay? I held back saying what I wanted to say. You can only imagine what I wanted to say. You creep. You you just committed malpractice. You're bribing me. You're bribing me to stay here and get meds. Or if I leave, you're on your own. So that means you have the meds, but you're simply not giving them to me. To me, that is unforgivable. Now, I know that I am not alone. I know other people have had worse experiences than that. My father did, my mother did in hospitals in New York City, and very good hospitals. And so, again, maybe I have nothing really to complain about, but since it was me and I experienced it firsthand, and I am not a pushover, I fought back. I really fought back. By the time I left, I don't think that anybody on the second floor liked me. When I would pass them in the hall, they would turn and look the other way. That's how bad it got. I will never go back to that particular place. There are plenty of other medical centers in the area. Most likely, I'll try McAllen Regional Medical Center, I think it's called, or just McAllen Medical Center. There are a couple of other good ones. The one you want to avoid is THR, which is Renaissance Medical Center. Looks nice. It's huge. Covers two cities, Edinburgh and McAllen, but it's really, really bad. I know because that's where I see my urologist. The urologist is fine, but it's just the staff. They have no idea what they're doing. And they lie. They lie to tell me that they called me to cancel an appointment and reschedule, which never happened, just to cover their butts, either their own or somebody else's. I reported them. Will anything happen to them? Not here. Not here. I know where I am. I am in the United States part of the Rio Grande Valley, also called Deep South Texas. The Rio Grande Valley continues on the Mexican side. I don't know if there's a special name for it there. Probably just the Rio Grande Valley in Spanish. El Val de Rio, something like that. I don't know Spanish. But regardless, um, that's where I am. I'm 2 miles from Mexico, as I've said many times before. I am living in the borderlands. There is always, or almost always, corruption in the borderlands. The cartels, the Mexican drug cartels, run Mexico. They run Central America. And they run deep South Texas, the part of the Rio Grande Valley in the United States. They run it. They pay off Border Patrol to look the other way. So Border Patrol will round up poor Mexican immigrants looking for a job here, but people who are cartel members, they go to and fro at will. Nobody stops them because they're paying the police, they're paying the mayors, they're paying the judges, they're paying all these people off. Police chiefs, regular police officers, they're paying them all off. They're all on the take. And everyone knows that. Every month, there's a listing of people who have been arrested for taking money from the cartels. Every month in the papers. And I'm sure there's a lot more than that. So it's a risk. I guess if you have no ethics or compromised ethics, and you're thinking, well, say I work for Border Patrol. I'm paid by Homeland Security. I have no idea what Border Patrol agents make. Let's say, for the sake of argument, $90,000 a year. That may be too much, maybe too little, but let's say $90,000 a year. And I think, well, I can live on that, but Border Patrol says they'll give me $1 million and they won't even feel it, just to look the other way. Now, Homeland Security can't match that. There's no way that Homeland Security can match that kind of payola. Simply can't. I mean, be nice if they could, maybe. I don't know. Maybe not to those people, though. People who are just totally lacking in ethics. And if you remember my earlier podcast, you'll know that as a critical realist, I am a moral realist. I am an ethical naturalist, meaning I believe that morality is woven into the fabric of the universe. There is no such thing as moral relativism. No such thing. Something is moral, or it's immoral, or degrees in between. But there's no such thing as moral relativism. Morality is determined by nature, by our own human nature, and by the natures of all the things that are in the worlds around us. And we as humans only have one nature that we share, only one set of virtues that we share. And some of us have acquired more of those virtues than others. Some maybe have acquired almost none. And that's really, really tragic, because we are here for the purpose of acquiring virtues. So if we don't do it, well, nobody else is going to do it for us, but we will experience that dearth of virtues the moment we leave this world and enter the world to come. The most wealthy person in this world thinks that everything is going fine. Person can continue behaving like a jerk, paying people off, stealing money, and no, I won't mention any names. Maybe you can use your own imagination. Maybe they're atheists. Many of these people are atheists, or pretty close. Functional atheists, meaning they may say they believe in God, but if they're not demonstrating the fear of God, meaning that they actually recognize that if they behave badly, that it will come back to them, kind of like karma. That's the fear of God. It's not terror. It's a recognition that that is how the dialectic works. As the Bible says, as ye sow, so shall you reap. Same basic principle. That is the dialectic, which is a law of nature. So people who behave in a miserable way will experience a miserable afterlife. And I do not wish that for anyone. Anyone. I would like to see everyone acquire all the virtues they need in this world so that when they arrive in what I call the valley of true poverty and absolute nothingness, it's a Baha'i term translated by the wonderful Baha'i scholar Marzieh Gale, who I had the opportunity to see once. Never talked with her, but I saw her. She must have been in her 80s, and she was bumping around like she was a teenager. Even her voice was very youthful. Amazing woman. One of the most brilliant translators that has ever existed within the Baha'i community. Her father, Ali Kuli Khan, was also a very good translator. But regardless, um, these people who have access to this kind of knowledge, like Marzieh Gale, they know what these things are. When we dream and we see things that are beautiful, I'm not talking about nightmares, but when we see beautiful things, those are realities of the Valley of Wonderment. The Valley of Wonderment is the realm of the awakeners, kind of like angels. The Valley of Wonderment is an intermediate realm between this world, the Valley of Contentment, and the next world, the Valley of True Poverty and Absolute Nothingness. And that is where these beings live. And we meet them every night when we sleep. And they tell us stories. They tell us stories. And we recall those stories and we call them dreams. That's what dreams are. They are the stories told to us by these awakeners. Now, sometimes the stories may be a bit off because of our own imaginations. Does it matter? No. It means we can't trust that the account is literal. Doesn't matter. The message has gotten through. We reflect on it, or during the day, perhaps, as we get more sensitive to the process, we get inspirations as to what the dream refers to. And as a result of that, we gradually become more insightful, more intuitive beings, more in touch with the realities of the spiritual world, more detached from the world of physicality and materiality, so that no matter what happens to us, like my concussion, it doesn't matter. Now, that's easy for me to say now. At the time it happened, it did matter to me. I mean, I was a wreck. I admit that. So if I was given a test, I failed that test remarkably. I was in really, really bad shape. But I couldn't think straight. I could barely see. I still have some difficulty seeing, but not that bad. I'm okay. Um, I can read now. After I make this podcast, I'm going to take a nap, maybe for like 8 or 9 hours, because I was up all night last night working on my book, Eudaimonic Utopia, which I've talked about before. I'm still working on it, plan to work on it for the rest of my life. That is my 27th and final book, I believe. It could change, but that's what I think right now. So this concussion was a blessing in disguise for one man living here in the first world, a world of corruption, and a world that, to all outward appearances, is about to get a whole lot worse from what people have said without mentioning names. But you know who I'm talking about. You know, you read the news, you listen to the radio, to the TV, you watch podcasts on YouTube or Twitch or whatever. You know what I'm talking about. The threats that have been made by officials about what they're going to do, whether in the United States or around the world, this is not, in my opinion, going to be a very good year. Could I be wrong? Absolutely. Absolutely, I could be wrong. Do I think I am? Well, if I thought I was, I wouldn't say it. Put it that way. Obviously, I could be wrong, but I wouldn't say what I just said if I thought I was wrong. That's the way I am. I'm very careful what I say, and I genuinely feel that time is running out. The hourglass is running out. We only have that much more time before the complete and utter destruction of the capitalist world system, which will leave the world as I see it, the entire world, everywhere in the world, in an age of complete localism, local sufficiency. The entire infrastructure of societies will be destroyed. I would imagine that many less developed areas of the world will be better off because they're not used to the kinds of things that we have here in the West. But increasingly, people even in those areas have electricity, have the internet, etc. So they will experience it too. But especially people like me living here in the US, no internet, assuming I even survive, no electricity, maybe no place to live. My entire condo might be destroyed. I have no idea what will happen. What I do believe is that we have called this upon ourselves. Much of it is because of our racism, our classism, our sexism, but especially our classism. Class is at the root of everything. When you have class, it produces all sorts of different kinds of inequalities and inequities, whether racism or sexism or ableism, disableism in the UK, ethnicism, and so on. It produces all these horrendous dysfunctions that exist in the world around us. And we don't need any more dysfunctions. We are already too dysfunctional as it is. But for a long time, we've been asking for it. We have been asking for it. And I'm holding back so I don't make any political statements. I don't want to make political statements. But you can think about this yourself. Think about recent elections and why certain people were elected. And now think about whether the people who elected them are experiencing, I don't know, buyer's remorse. I have no idea. Maybe not. Maybe they don't care. Maybe they care about what they think will be the money that they will get from the new administration in the US, in Germany, which just elected as I recall, a relatively right-wing government. So these kinds of things are happening worldwide, not only in my own country, the US, although this is, in my view, the seat of the empire, the seat of worldwide imperialism. And there are other empires too. I'm not saying we are the only empire. There's the Chinese Empire, there's the Russian Empire, there's the Saudi Empire, but none of them have any level of power and wealth and prestige compared to the American Empire. I mean, through NATO, we rule the world. And so that's my 2 cents. And again, I want to apologize for the delay, honestly, for the delay in making podcasts, but I really have not been feeling well. Now I know why. It was because of the high dosages, primarily of Dilantin, that were making me feel out of it, kind of like disoriented. Now I I feel better than I felt in 30 years. And I will be 69 years old on the 27th of this month, February 27th, 2025. I will be 69 years old. Or in Iran, that's called 70 because in Iran they base it on the year that you were in. So once I turn 69, I will be in my 70th year. So in Iran they say, "Oh, you're 70." Thankfully, at least for those purposes, I am not in Iran, so I'm not 70. I joked about that to a friend of mine on Facebook Messenger the other day. He seemed to get a kick out of it, I think. So, in any event, with that said, we are booned. We are booned. We are booned. This has been Mark for Mark A. Foster, Ph.D. Have a pleasant day and an even better day tomorrow.